G'day guys. Guess what I've been playing around with today? If I can grab it. X marks the spot. I've basically pulled this apart. This was a failed coil. This was a failed one. Okay. Everyone tells me these coils work really well. Very sensitive, whatever, do whatever. And I'm not going to say anything bad because they work, okay? But I maybe I shouldn't even make this video. Maybe I shouldn't. But I've done some measurements. I've actually tested this coil, the windings and so forth, and I can see why things are done. You got to remember that every time you do something with a coil, that we would say that you do something to have an effect, but sometimes it has an adverse effect, like a side effect. And anyway, I'm gonna explain a few things about it. I'm not going to say anything good. I'm not going to say anything bad. I'm going to just be factual on this coil. First of all, okay, let's have a good look at him. This foam material here, it's not like anything we have on our coils, and it's sort of a bit soft and spongy, but also a little bit resilient to pressure as well. Like if I have this here, these are just, tweezers, and I put it there. I push that in there like that. It's really easy. It's not crispy foam. It's soft-ish. It holds its shape, but it's soft. It's okay. It does the job. One thing I have noticed, it's got a fairly large transmit coil, which is this one here, and it's got little, well, what I would call little tiny receive coils, and very little gap in here to the transmit winding, both sides. That coil, knowing how that GPZ 7000 works, will be as sensitive as all hell to very small targets. It will be very sensitive. But I'm just going to tell you some things about the receive winding. It's 204 microhenries. Okay? And you could take that into account by saying, okay, 204 microhenries, what does that mean? Well, 204 microhenries is basically the wind, how many turns, and where it's come up. Basically, you've got to take into consideration a dielectric around and in the windings will affect the how much capacitance there, and it'll affect the inductance. So anyway, that's what it is. But I measured the Q of the circuit straight onto the winding. It has I'll give you an idea. This has a Q of about 0.75. That's a very low number, 0.75. Now, I had a look on a similar coil that was basically air wound. It wasn't embedded in resin like this, and it had a Q of 5.3. That's just interesting. It's interesting, okay? Here's the other thing, where it all joins. Now, they had ferrite cores or cores in the middle. Okay, they had cores, and they had to like look at the amount of mass of solder and board material there, and on the other side. No wonder they have to ferromagnetically shield that. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not saying anything good. But the mind boggles. It really does. Anyway, let's get on to the cores. The two cores that go in here. Sorry, Jesus. Okay, I'm not going to say anything bad. Okay, what they stick in there are these TDK plastic clamped. They're not any type of iron material or carbonyl or any of those iron type cores I was doing in the other video, showing you how they work and how they're reactive and how they're not and all the rest of it. But I closed it up. Damn it! What do I do that for? Oh, I was actually testing it on the mono coil over there. Oh, and just seeing if it was reactive. Now we'll get to that. I've got to try and open both these tabs up at the same time. It wants to close. Come on, just open. Rotten thing. Ah, silly me. I'm doing the wrong tabs. I'm doing it backwards. There we go. That might help. Okay, this is what it is. They wind the coil, in my opinion, and then they clamp those over. You can see that. It's two halves of a tubular ferrite in there. Anyway, I looked up the specification of these. I measured it with the multimeter as well. You can scratch and measure. You can tell what they are. They are ferrite. They're round about probably the same as what Minelab use in their other detectors. I did have one sitting there, but David was around here all playing with it all. It's all been moved around. So they just put that around the windings and go clamp. That's it. Okay. So I think it clamps hard. It should, because if you got a oh dear me, if you got ferrite, I'll try and do it like this. If it mounts like so, and it does this in any way, shape, or form, absolutely minuscule. I'm talking umpteen thousand billionths of an inch. It's going to make noise. Okay, so those things have to be clamped hard. I know why they use them, because you've got to clamp. It'd be very difficult to wind it all and push it in a core and pull the core back, a solid round core. It'd be very difficult indeed. So I'm looking at all this, and I had to actually, it took me ages to dig this glue and stuff out. Bear with me on this, because it's interesting, but I'm just choosing my words rather carefully. First of all, on the listen to that. That's the resin. It is super hard fiberglass resin, right? It's something you make a bathtub out of or something. It's really hard, and you can always go and look up the dielectric constant of fiberglass resin yourself. Okay, what else was interesting? Oh, okay, because these outrigger coils here, the receive coils, don't have any, as far as I know, don't have any damping in the detector. On the back of this board, there is two surface mount resistors for damping these coils. Basically, burns off the energy after the receive cycle, makes it behave a little better, as well. I haven't measured those. They're probably somewhere around about, I don't know, 500 ohms, 1,000 ohms or something like that. I can measure it. I just haven't. But the thing that amazed me the most, really, is that, of course, you don't want your windings to move. You want the windings solid. But pouring resin through the windings, leave that to your own imagination. These receive windings, hard wound and soaked in hard resin so they don't move. But like I say, side effects for everything you do in a coil design, especially if you're trying to make sensitive receivers. But everyone tells me these things work really well. They swear by them. So that's that. So yeah, these things here, these two coils, 204 microhenries. I haven't even measured the transmit one yet. I haven't measured the dynamic impedance of it or anything like that. I can do. Just it's like I said before, where the joins are all within the windings. I always said like bring them above the coil. You got a big area here. Why not put the joins inside an area like inside here, away from the coil winds themselves and away from the ground? To me, that's just sounds like common sense. But those ferrites, they're well, I had a look at the TDK specification. If you want to know what they are, I'll read it out. It's very hard to see actually the way it's on there. If you want to use these cores in their little thing, okay, I'm going to have to use the magnifier glass to read this. So I'll just put on my, I can see what I'm doing, thinking, oh God, that's clear. I had it upside down. Okay, Z or Z, depending. Then C, well, Z cat, CAT. Zulu for Z, cat, C for cat, A for apple, T for tango. ZCAT. Then it's 2035 hyphen 0930. So that's what they are. And there's two of them in there. I don't know where the other one's gone, but basically they sit in here with the wires running through them. So I dug them out. Another interesting fact about these coils. Now, this one here, David broke it open. God bless his soul. Because he's a bit of a butcher. he reckons he was going around and he said, I'll stuff it and ripped it off. Anyway, this is some type of silicon here. It's painted on. There. This stuff here, that's your Faraday shield. And I'll tell you something about the Faraday shield. I just measured it roughly over a centimetre. It's about 12 ohms. 12 ohms per centimetre. That's extremely low. And they have a little tiny wire there as an attachment piece. It's been ripped off, but it's there and it's under that bandage as well. And what they do, and it's pretty obvious here, if you can have a look at the foam, it's all been punched. So it's all got little holes punched into it. And that's so that that silicon grips in. Because if this moves on this coil when it's operating, if it flexes, it'll do the woo 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 thing, right? Because it'll change the capacitance between this and the winding. So that's one thing. And the guy said it was sounding off. So I don't know. Did that silicon let go and it flexed in our heat? It gets very hot here. Um, I don't know. I didn't. I wish I pulled it apart because I would have seen if it was anchored on here hard or not. I would have checked for that, but it obviously just got pulled apart. Um, yeah, it's very solid. It's like a brick. Oops, that nearly went over. A few things about it. This part here, the mount, which got some, looks like it's been glued on. That has been 3D plastic printed, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but I'd say it has telltale. Yes, it is. It's I'm pretty sure it's 3D plastic printed, and it might have had a bit of heat treatment to try and get rid of the ridge lines from the plastic printing. So I can see if you can hear that. Oops, there goes that on the floor. Have a listen. I'll just do it with my fingernail that way. Ready? Here we go. It's got little lines in it, so yeah. I take it this here is a air valve, a one-way valve, which I spoke about. You should put them on coils years ago, but it's on there. What else about it? Yeah, I'm going to do a few more measurements on it and things, but yeah, I was really amazed to see this fairly chunky. Well, to me, on a coil like this, that's chunky to me. Those, you can have a look at that. I mean, God, you put that near any other detector coil, it's going to sound off like a target. So that's why it's in a ferrite core. But I did find out also that the ferrite cores are reactive to the ground, and through a normal process of testing between the ferrites and the iron powder type, the iron powder does a better shielding job. The cores, I think I told you the part number. They got a specification of roughly an impedance, resistance reactance of about 100 ohms, but it goes really high in frequency. I think it's 100 megahertz and up or something. So, but still reactive, which I did the tests on that mono, and it's the same as the other cores that are used. Yeah, but yeah, I thought you might like to see that. And through there, yeah, it's another painted type graphite-y paint. I bet you that's low as well. Hey, I'll just check that because you don't need it as low on top of the coil as what you do on the bottom, because there's no ground effect to the top of the coil. But anyway, we'll have a look. I'll get my meter here and I'll just poke it and we'll just see what it is, about a centimetre apart. Wow, that's 10.9 ohms. I'll stab it if I can hold it still. If you can see that, it's bouncing around because it's but if I lean the things over, I can't really do it in there. Too much of a small gap, but that's a hard bite now. I've got it in both hands. But say, look, 10 ohms odd. That's very low. Dear me. I don't know what to think of all this. Have these guys hit a magic formula for making a really good coil? People tell me these coils work really good. But also, it has very tiny, very close in receive windings, which would make it so sensitive. I don't know what the depth capability on this type of coil is. It's a fudge factor of the small receive coils and the big transmit coil. So you'd look at it and you'd have to do a fudge factor and say, well, it goes it can go that deep because the coil's big, but you know they're small. You're going to run out of depth capability with such small things. But then again, maybe this is just a probably a a very small gold detection coil. The other thing I did notice too, I had a look at the picture. Remember, I was looking at the picture on the internet about these coils, and I saw these. I don't know if you can actually see, but it looks like windings around. And I thought, oh, okay, they're doing that as some shielding. It's not. It's not conductive wire. It's just binding it together before they fill it up with resin, as far as I can tell. Same on the transmit too. It's got some wind of like looks like I don't know. It's soaked in resin. It could have been um, even cotton. I don't know. Could have been nylon. I don't know. Can't tell. It's just been soaked in resin. So that's the other thing too. Where's my pokey thing? Just so you guys who are interested in coils know. And because it's soaked in resin, I haven't got this part out yet and had a look. There's these black structures here, and it stops there and stops there. It's on the straight part of this D-shaped winding here. And I'm wondering, what is that? I've got to, chisel the resin off to find out what that is, because I can't get through that just yet. And fiberglass resin is really, really difficult to get off. Of course, it's going to hold it beautifully, but no, God, I just don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Obviously, when you do fiberglass, it makes the whole thing. You can't repair it. To get that fiberglass off, you're going to smash the windings to pieces. You're going to break all the little strands. So that's that. I'm trying to be factual about this and say it as it is. No, I'm not going to. Well, it works. It works. That's the important thing. It works. And yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe the other coils are like that too. Maybe Minelabs are built the same way to a degree. I don't know. Someone gave me a Minelab one, actually, a 19. I'm going to pull that apart. We're going to compare the guts of the 19 as the overall, um, size, shape, what's in there and that. And we're going to compare it with this. Just the geometry. It's going to be completely different because it's a massive big coil. But we're just going to see, I'm going to do comparisons between the windings, the resistance, the Q. Have they poured resin in it? Uh, you know, just see what the differences are. Because electrically, it has to be the same within reason. You'll have different resistances in the windings because it's smaller. You probably don't have as much wire in there. But yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. So I haven't used one of these coils, and I haven't done any comparisons against any other brands of the GPZZ machine. But you know, I've just got to. I think I've just got to go on and exercise and chisel away very gently, and just see what's what in there. You got to remember too, the reason why the transmit coils in these, the wire is so thick and the cable is so thick. This has been cut off, but anyway, uh, it's very thick because when this thing transmits, it's got to hold a steady state current. Uh, and if it probably changed, it would make noise, in my opinion. In my opinion. So that's why the wires are so thick. Uh, you know what they could have done? No, I'm not going to go there. Sorry. Oh dear me. Okay. You don't know what I'm thinking, do you? I hope not. But anyway, you could do something different. But won't go there. Uh, yeah. Anyway, that's that. That's an X coil. I don't know if it's a new one, old one. I don't even know if it was one of their prototypes. I got no idea, no idea whatsoever, because I just don't know. But yeah, God, for what it is so heavy. It's God, it comes down fast and thuds, so it's very heavy. If you compare it, say, compare it to a Minelab Mono, about the same size, 8 inch. I mean, I wish I had some scales to weigh it. About twice as heavy, I'd say, at a guess. Very heavy, heavy coil. But, oh dear me. Well, I don't know if I can say much more about it. I really don't. But I might, I'll do my best getting the rest of it apart. Just see if there's any magic hiding in this coil design. Yeah. Oh, by the way, too, uh, this may be just my imagination, right? But the wires here on the transmit, this stuff here is like a cloth bandage. It's like a medical bandage, and it felt like elastoplast. I don't know if it is or what it is, but it's very sticky, and it is. I think it's a cloth-based tape. It's not going to come off. Like, it's not paper. It's not masking tape, but it just looks exactly the same as elastoplast that you buy in the reel. And it's got that tackiness to it that looks the same. So yeah, that's why the other ferrite is in this part, because of the big solder joints there to there under these tapes. There's two of them there, so they go inside the core as well. And the board would lay back. I had to push the cable through, but if I pulled it back like that and stuck it like that, that's how it was. And the cores are around here and here. It's very interesting indeed. So yeah, I had fun ripping at the bits. If I can, I hope I don't destroy it, because well, I know exactly how it's all wired up. I've done all the measurements across. I know what measurements are what. I know the phase of the coils, the interconnections, what goes where. It doesn't really make much difference. I can, basically, I could replicate that really easy, but I would do it differently, and I'd use different wire, and I would probably use a little bit of a different geometry, and I'd probably make a bigger coil because that is really small. That's interesting. So what I'll do, I'll actually do some hard and fast measurements on it later. I haven't even, like I said, I haven't even measured the inductance and the resistance and Q of the transmit coil. I want to have a look at how fast we can switch it and see if we have any issues switching at a high speed where it wants to not counteract its own capacitance, because the way the interwinding capacitance on that would be fairly high, the way it's done. But interesting. Anyway, that's enough waffle on that. Everyone, who was it? Someone said on I read on one of the forums. Someone said, "Oh, da da da." He goes on about this, that, and the other, but he prattles on a lot. I do actually. So um, it's just that it's hard staying on subject sometimes. I just go off on a tangent because, yeah, it just pops into my head and I talk about it. Sometimes it's related to what I'm doing, even though it goes off, but it's sort of related because it comes into play somewhere down the line. I hope that was interesting on the X Hall. You want to know more about it? Comments. Stick it in the comments, and I can dig a little bit deeper for you, and I can put up some measurements and whatever. If you need to know anything, and yeah, we can work it out. Um, there's a lot of things I'm working on at the moment. There's some interesting stuff anyway. Some of it is related to the 7,000 actually. Uh, I'll save it for another video though. I'll save it for another video. I got some feedback on some testing. It's something I've mentioned before, and it was probably for the gold monster. But I've done it and I've tested it and it works. And there's nothing saying it won't work on any other detector, be it PI or even VLF. Anyway, that's enough. Catches.